What's happening, folks? Coach Johnson here, HTK Krav Maga, HTK Fitness. I am Harder to Kill Project, and I want to talk today about feelings. And as a grown man of traditional values, feelings are not something that we operate from very often. I mean, we have them. I mean, all guys have feelings. All people have feelings. The difference is like, where do they factor in the hierarchy of operations when you make decisions? Do you make decisions on feelings, or you make decisions on rationale, logistics, what needs to get done, etc. But I'm going to talk today about feelings, and it's what goes back to one of the main reasons I do what I do, as far as a coach of fitness and self defense. If you didn't know this already, when I was growing up, I was very, very overweight, well, relative to the time, very shy, extremely introverted, into all kinds of nerdy, geeky things. And it caused a lot of issues with me, as you can imagine, growing up, in that environment with people being bullies and whatnot. And although I never felt terrified to walk through life, I never felt like the boogeyman was going to jump out and attack me in time. It was definitely a much more fearful time for me. Now, in the course of the next from that point, next 30 years or so, maybe 40 years now, I've watched society, our American society, Western society at large, become way more fragile, way more weak, way more vulnerable to being, feeling attacked and feeling persecuted and, maligned, and it's very disturbing. And for me, the transformation from being an overweight, shy, insecure young man to being a confident, fit, healthy, productive member of society was very instrumental in why I decided to teach martial arts and then fitness as an extension. The transformation of my psyche was almost magical. And once I realized that this can be replicated and it isn't something, you're not born confident, you're not necessarily born strong, you're not born, capable. These are things that you develop. And I realized that, well, if I was able to develop these attributes, then I can help other people also develop these attributes. When I walk through anywhere today, I'm not fearful. Now, that being said, I also realize that, I'm human. I'm not invulnerable. It's just that I have enough skill, enough confidence that I know that if I have to defend myself against a violent attack, I have some options. I have the ability to be physically strong enough to execute those options. I have the mental awareness training to make sure I can avoid having these options if necessary. And it's not magic. It's not magic. And I've helped over the decades, thousands and thousands of people develop these same attributes, these same level of influence in their ability to handle themselves, so they feel the same feelings, feelings of strength, feelings of confidence, feelings of capability, competence. These are incredibly powerful things to feel. And what has happened in society is we've gotten so concerned about making people feel bad, we've stripped all that away. People they're told they're amazing now, not because they're competent, not because they've achieved anything, not because they have some kind of a attribute that would make them amazing, because we simply don't want them to feel bad. And that's a very dangerous, slippery slope, and we are heading straight down that hill. And my mission is to reverse that course as much as I possibly can. I can't save the world, but I can make an influence, I hope, in the people that I come in contact with through my teaching, through my coaching, through my networking. And this is where this whole project comes to be. Is I want people to feel like they have the strength to withstand what life throws at them, whether it's an illness, a trauma, a death in the family. They have that mental strength. Whether it's somebody attacks them or their family, I have to ask yourself, if somebody attacked you, what would you do? How would you respond? Would you have a response? Would you just see red and bodies hit the floor, or would you actually have some kind of a plan? And then ask yourself, what if someone attacked your family? Okay, what would you do then? Is your family prepared for that? If you're not there in person, ask yourself, what if you get sick? Are you healthy enough to withstand an illness or a condition that causes you to be at ill health. And most of the time, and maybe in this group is different because you guys obviously have a connection to me and have an interest in self-development, but the population at large, at least in the Western culture, has no response for any of this. They just hope for the best, and I'm going to call somebody, and they don't take care of their health. So when they do get sick, even something that might be a minor illness turns into a major problem because their body simply isn't strong enough or healthy enough to withstand the onslaught of pathogens, of sunlight, of all the normal stuff that we have to deal with. So when I talk about being harder to kill, it's not just somebody attacks you with a stick or a knife or a gun. It's about when life is attacking you, and life is always attacking you. Our existence on this planet is a culmination of thousands, if not millions, of years of interspecies and interpersonal conflict. You are on this planet right now because somebody in your history was strong enough to either conquer another village or tribe or to withstand being conquered from another village or tribe. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Your genetic line would have ended. But here you are. You were here with me. So I am always eternally thankful for the fact that somebody somewhere in my past ancestry was strong enough and dedicated enough to survive, to be harder to kill, so that our genes can progress. Same thing for your family. And I made it my mission as in my career to provide the tools and the skills so people can then move forward with their own personal lineage. Excuse me. So this is where we come to. And one of the movements I want to create, and rather than having a brand, I want to have a movement. I'm not, I've thought about, people are, if you say someone's fragile, they get offended. I guess that's right. So if you call somebody weak, they get offended, whether those are true or not. But if you say someone's vulnerable, that's a little bit different because we all have vulnerabilities. For example, if you hired somebody you have a house, maybe you've had stalkers, you're like, hey, I want to make sure my house is protected, my property. Well, one of the first things this security professional would do is walk around your property and look for areas where you're vulnerable. Like maybe there's a space in the hedges where someone can get through. Maybe there's a little canyon where someone could sneak in unseen. So understanding your vulnerabilities is one of the first parts of being stronger. And it doesn't necessarily mean that your vulnerabilities are a negative. It just means you have to be aware of them and make sure they aren't so egregious that they cause the whole system to fail. So we're going to talk about being disvulnerable. Not invulnerable, because none of us are. You can't be invulnerable. We can still get wounded. We can still have, problems, conditions. But being disvulnerable, we're going to limit those weaknesses. And rather than calling you anti-fragile or calling you weak and helping you be stronger, and I don't mean you necessarily specifically, but people in general, if I can help you become disvulnerable and have you shore up the weaknesses, build on your strengths, and help you overcome the challenges that life will throw at you. That is what my mission is. So when I get up in the morning and I walk through life, I don't feel vulnerable. I feel empowered. And again, it's not magic. It's just a skill set I've put together through my training and through the training of my mentors and my coaches and my instructors and their belief in me that I can accomplish these goals, and being honest with me and not shining me on and telling me how awesome I am just because they don't want to hurt my feelings. That is, in my opinion, a crippling thing to do to somebody, to just BS them and go, you know what, we'll call it gaslighting. Like, you know what, you're good. It's all good. No. Beautiful at any size, but not true. You're perfect just the way you are. Well, that's terrible. We should all be striving to be a better version of ourselves, whatever that looks like. We get to the point now where people say things like, "Oh, words are violence." Horse crap, guys. I have a scar on this eyebrow from being kicked with a shin. I have a scar on this eyebrow from a headbutt. I have a scar on my nose from a toenail when someone's toe went into my eye socket. That's violence. Harsh language is uncomfortable, but by golly, that is actual violence. And one of the things we've done by softening our society is making, and people will say things like that, oh, you said something hurtful and offensive to me, therefore you actually committed violence against me. What? Anyway, so this is a long video, guys. I'm going to get my thoughts up. This is my feelings, sharing my feelings. I don't feel vulnerable. I feel disvulnerable because I've been training and I've been working and I've gone out of my way to provide myself with the skills so I can protect myself, my family, my friends, by extension, my students. So, but more importantly, I want them to feel that same disvulnerability, that same empowerment. And that is what we're all about. That's why I want everybody to be harder to kill. I can't save the world, folks, but I want to save as much of it as I can. All right, Coach Jay out.